We would like to have all cell phones and electronic devices used for communication, and they should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I will now call the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government Council meeting to order today, Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. We will have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Kevin Champagne.
Heavenly Father, as we gather here today, we seek your guidance and wisdom. Grant us clarity of thought and unity of purpose as we deliberate on matters that affect our community. May our discussions be filled with integrity, compassion, and a commitment to the common good of all those we serve. We're asking you for our blessings on our efforts and strength to carry out our duties of the parish council. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Leacham, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding,
Here.
Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on August 13, 2025. Moved by Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Wazan. Any discussion? Members vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. We have distributed minutes of the regular council held on August 27, 2025. Next, we will have the approval of the accounts payable bill list for August 18, 2025, August 25th, 2025, September 2nd, 2025, and 9/8/25. Moved by Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Babin. Any discussion? Members vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Journal of Business 1A, proclamation. Oh, excuse me. Manual checklist. Okay, approve the manual checklist for July 2025. Moved by Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Babin. Any discussion? Members vote your machine. Thank you. The motion passed 8-0. Now, Journal of Business 1A, proclamation, National POW MIA Recognition Day. Mr. Danny Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's indeed a privilege and an honor to read this about prisoner of war and the missing in action, the recognition on that day, because this hits close to home. My late father-in-law, Ray Marcello, was a prisoner of war in World War II for a year. When he was liberated by the English, he weighed 81 pounds, but lived to a glorious 96 years old. So this is very important to me, and we can't forget about the people that we lost, the ones that are still missing. And actually, tomorrow is the 24th anniversary of 9/11, and there's still a lot of people there. They're heroes as well. So with that being said, National POW MIA Recognition Day. Whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day was established in 1979 by President Jimmy Carter and is commemorated annually on the third day of September as an opportunity to honor and recognize our brave service members who are classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day is a day to acknowledge families, friends, and the veterans who are awaiting recovery and identification of missing and unaccounted for service members for our nation's past wars and conflicts. Whereas acknowledged in 2019, World War II pilot Newt Hensley designed the POW MIA flag made in black and white to symbolize sorrow, anxiety, and hope. Whereas the POW MIA flag will be flown daily in all places the United States flag is flown, including the Terrebonne Parish Courthouse, the Terrebonne Parish Towers, the Sheriff's Office, and the Homo Police Department. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day is a time where Terrebonne Parish residents can stand with POW MIAs and their families in support of those who serve our nation in defense of the values we hold dear. And whereas National POW MIA Day, Recognition Day in Terrebonne Parish is an opportunity to honor the service members who were held captive and returned, as well as those who remain missing. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day and other military events help bridge the community at the military and the military to build trust and support. Now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of Parish President Jason W. Bergeron and the entire Parish Consolidated Government that the day of September 19th, 2025 be hereby proclaimed as National POW MIA Recognition Day, signed by Parish President Jason Bergeron, Council Chairman Carl Harding, and endorsed by this entire council. Is there someone here to accept? Well, I'll bring it to President Bergeron. Ronnie, why don't you come up, sir?
My name is Raleigh Grow. I'm president of the Regional Military Museum. I reside at 3742 South Don Mandalay Road, Home, Louisiana. I was fortunate enough that when I went into the service, there was no fighting going on in Vietnam. So prisoner of war, I knew Mr. Marcella. He was our librarian at the museum. So I was a young boy of about 5 years old during World War II. But not only honor the POWs, honor all your veterans. Those that did make it back and those that did their time. Now, Vietnam was a thing that we kind of got criticized for that. But you got to remember, when you go into service, they're training you to kill. They don't give you a rifle for nothing. But anyway, I recognize all veterans at our museum. With that said, we're going to have an open house tomorrow. Anybody can come. But the POWs, that was the hard ones. Because they went above and beyond what they had to do. Thank you.
Mr. Hamlin, you have something to say?
Am I on? Yeah. I just want to tell Riley that his words were well said. I really appreciate what you said up there, and you did a great job communicating it. But you lacked one thing. You didn't introduce the lovely lady next to you that is your support. You better stand up, Joan. Stand up and that's the real power behind Riley Grow right there. Yeah. She still beats you, Riley. She had more husbands than you did. Or I should say, more husbands than you had wives.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 1B, resolution urging and requesting the parish president to approve the new location for the sale between the Finding Our Roots Museum and Martin Falls at 7928 Main Street, Homer, Louisiana. Move by Mr. Trusclair. Second by Mr. Pleasure. Any discussion? Okay. You got to get your light on. Why is this light only coming? One more time. John, could you take yours off, John? Because he's coming up 3. All right. Okay.
Yeah, just a couple notes on this. We have our experts, CSRS, in the audience to answer any questions. And I'd like to note that when we received the letter from Martin Falls, that we've been working on it since we got it with them to come up with a response and address all the items listed in that letter. And just want to let everybody know those 2 things.
Okay. Mr. Amadine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to amend the resolution, and I'll read through all the changes I'm seeking. In the opening paragraph, after the word parish president to, add seek approval for and strike through approve. After Finding Our Roots Museum and strike through Martin Falls and add Morpho Inc. On the first whereas, after Finding Our Roots Museum and add Morpho Inc., strike through Martin Falls. On whereas number 2, no change. On whereas number 3, after Community Development Block Grant, add dash disaster recovery. And after CDBG, add dash DR. Under whereas, and I want to let my fellow council members know that I fully support the community centers, and I will work with them to make sure that that continues as it is a listed project. But I can't prioritize somebody else's district without doing mine, so I figure we'll just clean this up and let it go. So the 4th whereas, I would like to strike through the entire paragraph. The 5th whereas, after whereas, comma, insert, it is the desire of this council that to the extent allowed by the CDBG-DR guidelines and by the Louisiana Office of Community Development, comma, in the 6th whereas, after whereas, comma, add to the extent allowed by the CDBG-DR guidelines and by the Louisiana Office of Community Development, after the word the, add council requests that. After 7928 Main Street property, strike through will, the word will. After the word burdensome, strike through parish. After restrictions and, strike through will allow. After Finding Our Roots Museum, add be allowed. And Ms. Clerk, I'll give this all to you if it passes. On the 7th whereas, after the words the revised location, strike through will also and insert the word may. No changes to the 8th and 9th whereas. In the next paragraph, after the words parish president to, strike through approve and add the words submit to the Office of Community Development an application for approval of. And after the words Finding Our Roots Museum and, strike through Martin Falls and insert Morpho Inc.
Is that it?
So, yes, sir.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? I have a speaker card in reference to, this particular, portion of the meeting, from Mr. Tanner McGee, in reference to,
Could I have a point of personal? That was a lot of changes. Could I just read the revised resolution so that everybody can hear what it actually will say rather than all that piecemeal? Or John, could you do that for
Yeah.
us?
okay,
Absolutely.
we're gonna do that, and after we do that, we're gonna have,
Mr.
And then,
McGee?
and then
Mr.
do the
McGee.
speakers.
Yeah.
I think it'll be much more clear than all those piecemeal things. We had to do that
Okay.
because of,
the changes.
Yeah.
Right.
but
And most of it was just cleaning up some language. So it reads, Resolution number 25 dash blank. A resolution of the Terrebonne Parish Council urging and requesting the parish president to seek approval for the new location for the sale between Finding Our Roots Museum and Morpho Inc. at 7928 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana. Whereas the Terrebonne Parish Council previously considered and approved the sale and cooperative endeavor agreement involving the Finding Our Roots Museum and Morpho Inc. for the location at 7938 Main Street, and whereas after further consideration and public comment, the council recognizes that the property located at 7928 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, presents a smaller scale and more feasible alternative for the museum project. And whereas the new location at 7928 Main Street will save Terrebonne Parish approximately $2 million in Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, funding, which savings may be redirected toward other parish priorities and pressing infrastructure needs. And whereas it is the desire of this council that, to the extent allowed by the CDBG-DR guidelines and by the Louisiana Office of Community Development, the revised location eliminates the need for a subrecipient agreement and allows further administration of the grant to remain between the Office of Community Development and the Finding Our Roots Museum. And whereas, to the extent allowed by the CDBG-DR guidelines and by the Louisiana Office of Community Development, the council requests that the 7928 Main Street property not be encumbered by burdensome restrictions and Finding Our Roots Museum be allowed greater flexibility in pursuing additional revenue streams to ensure long-term operational success. And whereas the revised location may enable Finding Our Roots Museum to access a broader base of existing funding opportunities from private, state, and federal sources, thereby strengthening its financial sustainability. And whereas the proposed change in location directly addresses genuine and good faith concerns expressed by members of the public and this council regarding scale, financing, and feasibility. And whereas the use of 7928 Main Street will allow Finding Our Roots Museum to open its doors more quickly and begin telling the important story of African Americans in Terrebonne Parish, thereby contributing to the cultural, educational, and historical enrichment of the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish Council hereby urges and requests the parish president to submit to the Office of Community Development an application for approval of the revised location for the sale and cooperative endeavor agreement involving the Finding Our Roots Museum and Morpho Inc., identifying 7928 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana as the project site. Be it further resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the parish president for his consideration and action consistent with the intent herein expressed.
Okay, Mr. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. Mr. Amity, that was an excellent job reading, by the way. I don't know if I could have done as well as you did with all the changes. Members, I'm only here as representative of Mr. Martin False to answer any questions, provide some clarity, some background, if y'all have it, on how it got here. I know it's been sort of a long road to this point for something that should be somewhat simple. There's been a lot of miscommunication and a lot of misinformation across the board about what this project was, how it got started, and how it shifted. And I wanted to help provide some of that to you so you can understand as you make your decisions on how you want to proceed. First of all, Mr. Foss wants to thank all the members of the council, wants to thank Parish President Bajeron and all the staff for working so hard and diligently on trying to bring this project to fruition. It's really sort of simple in one set is that Mr. Foss, through his company Marfa, owns several buildings on Main Street that are not occupied right now, and one that is occupied by HTV Studios. They're right next to each other. And he has been in the process of, as the industry has changed, changing what he needs as a operator of a television station for this area and having it reflect that. I think we could all agree, the public, administration, the council, it's a great service to the public. We're lucky that we have a television station in a community our size. And so he wants to keep providing that, but it's something that's changing every day. I mean, as Facebook and Instagram and the internet rise, you don't need the huge studios that you used to have. And so he has excess space. He had purchased the buildings next to him at one point in time as they were just buildings that became available, and he wanted to make sure he could keep his property in the condition he wanted it to. Through that process in the last administration, he came in contact with Ms. Scobie, who was also looking for a home for her museum that would highlight, I think, something that most reasonable people would see as something that would be great for the community, which is highlighting the minority communities of Houma and their travails and their tribulations that they've had to get to this point. This is not uncommon, by the way. They have museums like this in Donaldsonville and Hammond and Baton Rouge. This is not some kind of pie in the sky thing. This is something other communities are doing in communities of smaller size like Donaldsonville and maybe Hammond that's a little bit bigger than us. The North Shore has one, and then Memphis has a gigantic one, and New Orleans has various versions of this, and I think they also want to do a better one that rivals what Memphis has. So this is something that is part of a bigger trend, and also, frankly, part of a trend that brings tourism to the community, as there is a demonstrated market for these kind of things. This is not something that's completely out of nowhere. So she was looking for a home. She'd either outgrown or the other place was unsuitable. She came into contact with Mr. Foss, and they started having conversations on maybe she could buy HTV Studios and move into there, and he could maybe move next door into a smaller thing for what would more fit his needs. That concept always envisioned that Miss Scobie would have the ability to do certain things at that building location, having fundraisers, having maybe an Airbnb component to it, just various things that could utilize the full building because museums are hard, right? They tell a beautiful story or maybe a hard story, but they're not always revenue drivers, right? So sometimes you need other things to keep that story being told. We see that with the Regional Military Museum, which is a great asset to the community. They have a millage that helps keep that functioning for us. So there's always something that usually goes along with it. Very few things can survive with just its pure revenue alone. So with that said, we started looking at it, and that's when it kind of got started that there might be some community block grant funding coming. And, I share, you have no idea, I cannot express, and I know that y'all feel the same way, and I know Parish President Bajeron does too, the frustration with infrastructure, not only in Terrebonne Parish, but throughout the state. I share it with everybody. I mean, we don't even have to talk about it. I think everybody knows it, and if you want to say, raise your hand if you want $20 million or $9 million, $3 million to go to roads and bridges, like my hand's up, right? I'm not shying away from that. If we could take that CBGD funding and throw it on a bridge or a road, I would be telling Mr. Foss, let's do it tomorrow. But the true story is it doesn't work that way. And we can complain about it, we can be upset about it. The only thing we can really do is write Congress about it, but that's outside of the pay scale of everybody that's in this room right now. That money comes to communities to do community type funding things and initiatives, right? And we have to abide by those guidelines and do the projects that fit within those criteria. And that's where we find ourselves. And so it wasn't an alternative. And then so we started proceeding with the sale. We were very appreciative. My client was, when Mr. Bajeron, when he took over as parish president, got more involved, started pushing the project on his own and got, I think, increased the funding to $4.5 million. And I want to be very clear with everybody in the room and everybody in the crowd as I say this. Martin Foss hasn't received a dollar yet for any of this stuff. Like, I think this is something that keeps getting misunderstood because of just the kind of the complication that goes to this. Ms. Scobie received $200,000 from the state of Louisiana as part of separate funding from the state that Senator Mike Vesey obtained for her and of course with the support of the delegation, to help her realize this dream to go anywhere. It wasn't necessarily to buy this building or that building. It was for her to find a home somewhere, right? And this is in line with what Senator Feasey does. He's a big supporter of the regional museum. He loves museums. He loves telling these stories. So there's nothing untoward about it. This is just how it is. Again, later on, he obtained $500,000, which to my knowledge, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, Ms. Scobie has not received yet from the state. So that brings $700,000, $200,000, which she received, an extra $500,000 that's down the pipeline for the state to give to her. But of course, the state just doesn't give you dollars. It's not how it works. So there's also, paperwork that has to be filled out and things that you have to do to get that money, which he's in the process of doing. The $200,000 was then used to secure Mr. Foss's building as like anybody would do if they're going to buy a house. Like nobody goes buy a house and you don't put money down. That money, it was $200,000, is put in escrow. That means it's still Miss Scobie's money. It's being held in a special account that can be either returned to her, if depending on how the transaction ends up, or it can be put as an actual on the price. I don't think that determination on how that money's being used, also mainly because we don't even know what that looks like yet, right? We've been kind of floundering around on the transaction piece of this. So all total, there is about $700,000 that may end up being applied from the state to whatever purchase is made or could be used for her operating funds in her own thing. So there's no missing money, and Mr. Foss hasn't received any of it. I want to be very clear on that. And he has no intention of keeping the $200,000 that has been used to secure it. That just made it where he couldn't sell it to somebody else. If Chevron came and said, hey, we're moving back to home, we want to buy this building, he would say, sorry, I already have received $200,000 from Ms. Scobie. I can't do that. That's what the $200,000 gets you.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
give you 1 minute to close.
Thank you. Well, lo and behold, this project transformed into something other than what we originally envisioned it to. And then on top of that, the parish had a meeting. There was a lot of public sentiment and concern that was expressed. A lot of it made sense, to be honest, to Mr. Foss and to Ms. Scobie and to the administration, to certain council members that I've spoken to. In that, to be a good partner, Mr. Foss decided that he had other properties. He wasn't dead set. He can revamp what he's doing. And the third building in the line of the buildings he owns he could also sell that when it's not being used. It's currently available. He estimates it's probably going to be about $1 million for that building, but it's not set in stone. It'll have to go through the appraisal process and all the things that go along with it. And I want to be very clear too, because this has been something that's been online, is that the appraiser that appraised the HTV building is Mr. Charlie Butts. He's one of your appraisers. Like, this isn't some like pie in the sky guy who goes out and does whatever. This is a parish approved appraiser who's been doing parish appraisals for a long time. I think assertions that somehow this is like a cooked up appraisal is sort of ridiculous, and I think would be offensive to Mr. Butts, who's licensed and has all kind of credentialing requirements that he would never violate. He could disagree with somebody, but I don't think he would ever give up his license, and nor do I think you in your wisdom would ever not choose somebody who would have the integrity for the position. All that being said, he got back in touch with Ms. Scobie. They've been working on a deal to move to the new location. It's a much more scaled down project. It's much more in line with what the public wants and people have said. I think it's much more feasible. I think it checks every box that this council and this administration is looking to do, and that the public has said at the last meeting that they wanted to see with this money. And it frees up money for y'all to do other needs. And so for all these reasons, it was decided to go forward with this new thing. It was a pivot from the last one based off of your concerns. So with that, I answer any questions you may have, but I'm really here just to give an outline of how we got here.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions? Mr. Bergeron, you had something to say? Okay. Okay. Yeah, Kevin was first.
You can go first.
Oh, Miss Kim, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Okay, so Tanner, what you're telling us is that the $200,000 is in escrow.
Correct.
It has interest now to it, whatever that may be. And if this falls through, Mr. Foss is gonna give Ms. Scobie back the money, because I'm a little confused on that part, but this is.
Yeah,
the
no, that's
second
100% correct. Like if you went to buy a house and the
Okay.
deal fell through, you get your money back, unless there's a distinction between a down payment and earnest money. But for the most part, that's exactly how it works.
Okay, And you said that the money from the state can be used for operational costs? Because when I went back to read it, one of them stated that it was to purchase a building. So
Right.
does the 500,000, is that just to purchase a building, or can it be used for an array of things?
That would be between Ms. Scobie and the state, to be honest with you. I don't know the details of what the state will allow, because the state will allow you some movement on that kind of stuff. It would probably be easier, more easily cleaned up next session for Senator Facey to just revise what the money is for to reflect what it's going to do and clear all doubts. I think that there's time for that.
Well, the reason why I'm asking that is because if you're seeking certain money from here, with getting a building, and the money is with the state for getting a building, because the CBDGDR money cannot be used for operational costs, is what I've been told, and maybe they can, if I'm wrong, please clear me up. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't become in jeopardy because something is done wrong with the money.
Right, but I mean, I think ultimately at the end of the day, there's the state just doesn't give you money and let you walk away with it. I mean,
no.
I wish that, I mean, I don't wish, I'm glad that they don't, but I mean, that's not the way it works. So they're going to have all the checks and balances. Nobody's going to allow somebody to use money at some point. Trust me, the state claws back money all the time that's been improperly used. And look, to answer your question also, Mr. Falls is not in the business of running a Black History Museum. He's in the business of selling a property, and he's trying to give all the funding streams and be as flexible on funding streams. And look, he just told me, I didn't realize that the $200,000 was actually returned to the state today.
Well, no, just so you know, I'm not really, it's not on him. I'm worried about what's coming forward with the
Right.
museum. So this is not about.
Yeah, so
that
you
part
just
of
have to
it.
check the boxes. We're trying to facilitate a sale and give as much flexibility to Ms. Scobie, and she can answer the questions better on how she plans on
Right.
operating than I could.
And that's probably where I'm coming to this, because I just found out about the 500,000. So now, with your
I mean,
letter.
that's a
you put
public
in the
document too,
200.
Ms. Chauvin. Like, that's not something that's done. And that goes to like 80 committee hearings, a floor
Right.
vote in the House, a floor vote in the Senate. This isn't some like sneak attack. I mean, I know I
no,
said
it's
you don't
not.
read the bill like constantly. I get that too. I wouldn't either. But it is.
I don't.
It's one of the most public things that you can do is have
Right.
have the state's finance bill done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, thank you, Tanner, for your explanation of all that. That clears things up tremendously for a lot of people. And if they don't believe it, it's shame on them, all right?
Right.
Because you did start from the beginning and brought it all the way to the end. I appreciate that. The only thing I want to say, President Bergeron, you said you had someone here from CSRS. I'd like for them to come up
Sure.
and explain, and thank you again, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm available if y'all have another question.
Sure.
I'm here for as long as y'all want me to be.
I'd like for them to come up and explain the process from here going forward, because we were in one process. Now that has to stop due to pulling the building away. So what do we have to do as a parish in terms of petitioning OCD, appraisals, just the entire process from here going forward?
Yeah,
Name and address, please.
Taylor Gravois, CSRS 8555 United Plaza Boulevard. Thank you for the question. It's a great question, and appreciate you all inviting us here tonight to speak to help guide the decision about this. So I think what the question is how do we move forward with the project? So the project was approved to allocate resources of the allocation to the Finding Our Roots Museum. It was not tied to any particular location. That was done to provide maximum flexibility. Because at the time, there was not any definitive on that building. We just identified that we had a willing seller. So where do we go from here? We have to go back and amend the application with OCD. We have to get approval from them to move forward with a new location. And then once they give us that approval, we have to go through the same process we're currently going through at the current location of getting an appraisal. And the appraisal process itself is you have to get an appraiser that is approved by the parish, that has no prior affiliation or has done the appraisal for the owner on that location. Once you get that appraisal, you have to get another third-party review appraisal. If all that checks out and the building appraises, then that's what the grant dollars cannot pay above appraised value. So you get through all that. You also have to go through an environmental review to make sure there's no environmental issues with the building. You also have to go through and make sure that the other criteria is met with LMI, which we will, because from what I understand, it's adjacent to the existing location, so we should be able to check that box. And then we have to take all that, prepare a budget, and get a budget amendment through OCD. And once you get through all that, then you can proceed with purchasing the building, making any renovations, and going forward from there. So that's the process going forward.
So it's a fairly lengthy process. No matter what we do here tonight, this is not the end all. This is just the beginning of moving it forward. From first of all, they may turn it down. I doubt if they would, because they've already approved something for a museum, okay? This is asking for less money, so there would be no reason for them to turn it down, okay? But again, the process that was gonna have to happen on the HTV building has to be done on that one as well. So once the appraised value, once it is appraised, then it's between Mrs. Scobie and Mr. Falls if he would agree to that number. Because as you said, it can't be, you can't pay it for over appraised value. So I just want everyone to understand that. We're not, this is not gonna end everything tonight. This is just gonna start it all over again. And the same process that was gonna apply to the HTV building is gonna apply to the new location.
That is a very good summary.
Okay.
So yeah, you have a really good understanding for not being a CDBG expert, but you are correct. And not only this project, but there's 29 projects in the program. Every single one of those projects has to follow a very prescriptive process that comes from the federal government through HUD to OCD and down to the recipient or the grantee, which is Terrebonne Parish. So you're absolutely correct. If it is the will of the council and the parish as the grantee to move forward with this new location, then we have to start the process with OCD and go through all those steps that we have to get through many more hoops before this project can actually be a reality, so.
Okay, one more follow-up question on that. The money will be less. So the extra money, we'll call it extra money, okay?
Right.
For us to apply that to another project or to an existing one that has come, maybe a cost override, then we'd have to apply to OCD again, and they have to approve that the ability for us to move that money to that project. Not that we'd ever lose the money.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, so another great question. The good news is the money is for Terrebonne Parish. That's your money. It's not going to go away. You can easily, and there's two paths you can take. One is easier than the other. The easier path is to reallocate whatever savings you may have to one of the other 28 approved projects. Since they were already approved, you're simply modifying the budget and increasing it on one of these other approved projects. If you would like to approve a new project that is not one of the 29 approved projects, that is a much more difficult and longer process. You have to go back through public hearings, you have to amend the action plan, there's other steps you have to do to propose a new project. So if it's the will of the council to take whatever savings may be realized from this new location and allocate it, the easier thing to do is to allocate it to one of the other 28 projects.
But we do have alternate projects, not counting those 28. We had 29 projects that were approved, and then there are alternate projects.
29 plus the alternates. Yeah, we have 29 total plus the alternates.
Okay, so that money could actually go to an alternate because it's hard. Again, this is not something that we as council people are involved in on a day-to-day basis. Administration and you guys handle all this. And I want the public to know that just because we're council people, that doesn't mean we're involved with this on a daily basis. That's why I wanted to ask the questions to make sure that not only do I understand, everybody out there listening understands that tonight is not the end, it's the beginning of the process again.
That is a very good way to put it. And again, I'll go back to my earlier statement. All 29 projects are subject to the same process.
Right.
So yes, we would have to go back go through this process again in order to get that money reallocated. But, you know, anytime you deal with the federal government, as Tanner mentioned, you know, there's a lot of strings attached, and the
Right.
state claws back money, and the feds are probably worse about clawing back money. So you know, the risk is nobody wants the money clawed back. You want to follow the guidelines. The good news is the federal government has granted this money to Terrebonne Parish. The bad news is you have to abide by all of their rules and restrictions, whether you like it or not. And from the federal government standpoint, if you don't do things according to the rules, they'll just as soon say, don't take the money.
Do we know at this point, I think the expiration date on all of this was November 2027, if that memory serves me?
November 16th, 2027 is the exact.
Okay, now that is completion of the project? Or is that just in process being started?
So that completed projects.
So any capital project, we need to get moving on very quickly, all right? Do you foresee, I should say, any movement on that to give extensions?
So,
And I'm only asking that not necessarily for this particular project, but for the other 28 that we have and possibly more now if money is freed up.
So I will tell you, there has been no official guidance that has come out from either HUD or OCD.
Okay.
I can opine about whether or not I think there's going to be an extension, and frankly, all of these projects are very complex. And I say all the projects, not only Terrebonne Parish, but there was 4 of the most heavily impacted parishes from Hurricane Ida that received allocations similar to Terrebonne.
Mhm.
Terrebonne, Lafourche, Jefferson, and St. Charles. All of those projects are complex, and I would say, as council people, as state reps, you know, it's going to be difficult to get all of these projects implemented within the time frame. So I would tell you to lobby legislators and try to get an extension, because I think any reasonable person is gonna agree that not just Terrebonne, everybody needs more time to implement these projects.
Yeah, it makes it difficult. Well, thank you very much for your explanation. I appreciate it.
But just to be clear, there has been no official guidance yet.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, could we have Mr. Bergeron? No.
It's just saying he's requesting.
Oh,
Something's wrong with it. It's not,
okay.
you're not seeing it.
No, yeah, no, could you move yours over a little bit and press your light? Yeah. Oh, you don't want, oh, okay then. Yeah, okay, Mr. Pleasure, yeah, Mr. Pleasure has a light on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. CSRS, a couple questions for them too as well, if you will. Can you come back to the mic, sir? Just for a little bit more clarity, can you explain what would be considered or how it's determined that a cost savings is imminent? Okay, I get it that the initial building cost estimated $3 million, whatever it was. We sort of had somewhat of a budget laid out for us in that respect. But this building here, it's going to be cheaper. So what's the cost savings? How would we,
Yeah.
determine that? And from that cost savings, is that monies to be allocated to a different project? Or since it is allocated to Terrebonne Parish, that comes back to the parish? Or does it, since it was written under the application of Miss Scobie's museum, does it stay with Miss Scobie?
Yeah, very good questions. And I'll try to kind of answer them one by one, because I think there's a few different questions buried in there. So the first one is, as part of the recovery program, the parish of Terrebonne was awarded $117 million, and the parish was the grantee of those funds. The parish had the responsibility to develop projects that met the criteria of the federal funding and present a proposal to the Office of Community Development. So the first answer to your question is the money can be allocated to any one of those 29 approved projects, right? So in order to prepare the proposal, we had to develop preliminary budgets. These budgets were not based on any sort of factual information, well, not say factual, but any sort of approved appraisals or anything, because it's too early in the process. But we had to demonstrate to OCD that we were allocating all of the money across all the projects, right? Once they give us approval, then you have to move forward with all of the steps that are necessary to actually comply with the program requirements. The devil's in the details, right? So for any property acquisition, you have to get an appraisal, and you have to get, you have to get the appraisal, environmental clearance, and then you have to, some of the monies can be used to renovate the building, and then somewhat of startup costs. So this issue of an approved budget, I think you're probably comparing that to the preliminary budget. As we sit here today, we still don't have a final appraisal on the original location, and we certainly don't have one yet on the second location. So in order to determine the budget, we have to get an appraisal, we have to determine the building renovation costs, any sort of environmental remediation. Whatever that costs for whatever location is ultimately decided on, then that's allocated to that project. Whatever savings that are going to be realized from the final cost with the approved appraisal, the building renovation costs, as compared to the preliminary budget, those dollars would be available to allocate to other projects in the approved program. So does that answer your question specifically?
Yeah, it kind of does. But just for, in layman terms, for the public, so they understand, whatever the cost is, there's $4.5 million allocated to the African American Museum's project. Okay, and from there, if all those monies aren't spent, or if there's a substantial savings there, that's where I think the public is kind of confused of, if we spend $1 million on this building, how much will be put towards, activity costs, let's call it that. Because if you spend $1 million for a building, you have 4.5 million, well, you have 3.5 left. Where's that go? How much stays with the museum?
Yeah.
That type of thing, or what's going to actually go back to the parish. I think that's where the concern is coming from with the public. But also, I'll kind of put something else out there. How often or how involved are you guys, CSRS? Excuse me. I've been in one meeting with you guys with the African American Museum, but of the 29 projects, how involved are you guys with the actual folks that's, say, the Miss Margie, and also with Martin, the buyer and the seller, and the parish as well? Or is it mainly just the parish and you guys when it comes to making the decisions? Because I talk to these guys and it's, well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. So there's a disconnect there somewhere. I think if you guys are facilitating this with the parish, all parties involved should be at the table, so Miss Margie's might not be, misinformed. Mr. False might not be misinformed. That's a lot of information, and some of the questions that I ask, they don't even know. But we got a $4.5 million deal on the table. That's where my concern is. And moving forward, since we have to revisit all this and start all over, this is our opportunity, so all the misinformation, miscues out there can actually be eliminated by bringing everybody to the table, whether it be Marfo, Miss Margie, Activate the Bayous, whomever it is. And not only that, but the council too as well. Because I think if we have to make these decisions on what's best for the parish, I think we need to be better informed. Well, I can speak for myself for sure, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the council feels the same way. So that's kind of my questioning, because I know the parish is probably still spinning because they don't really understand that.
Yeah. So all good concerns and all good questions. Again, I'll try to answer the one about the budget first. The final budget is determined on what is an allowable cost under the CDBG guidelines. Purchase a building, renovate it, and then a certain amount of startup costs can be allocated to get the project stood up. You can't allocate long-term operational costs. You have to demonstrate that there is a sustainable financial revenue stream to sustain this. And that's when, if you can't do that within that 5-year period, that there is some clawback provision. So if we do want to move to a new location, and that's what's decided here, then we will go to work to prepare that revised budget and try to get all of the things that can be applied to this project, building renovations, purchase, some startup costs. We'll try to build the absolute best budget we can, and then that becomes the budget amendment for that particular project. In terms of the communication on project selection, under these guidelines, the council, the parish president, us, no one can unilaterally pick a project. And that's not our rules, that's not the state's rules, that's HUD's rules. You have to have a community participation plan, which we did. In the months following Hurricane Ida, we went out, and some of you may remember this, and we did town hall meetings almost in every district. And there was community surveys, there was a lot of work done. And we had to submit all that to HUD and OCD to prove to HUD and OCD as a condition of getting the money that we went through all the public hearing processes. So if we want to change projects, we have to amend that, okay? And that's the process. So the parish president, any one of the councilmen can't pull a project out the air and say, now I want this project to be on the plan. You may say, we'd like you to explore that, but it's got to go through the same process all the other projects. You got to go back out for a public hearing. You have to make sure it meets all the LMI criteria, that the money is that grant award is established to help. So it's not those individual project decisions can't be made unilaterally. If that answers your question. In terms of the communication, I mean, we're involved every step of the way. There is a lot of guidelines to comply with, and any misstep on any of that puts the parish as the grantee at risk for getting some of that clawed back. So we're here to make sure that doesn't happen for the parish.
And again, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. I would like to see the different entities, the Miss Margie and her staff, her board members, and also Marfo Inc., so they understand what's happening. Because if they don't understand what's happening, then it's kind of a moot point, I would say. They shouldn't have to find out here kind of what's going on and how things work. But most importantly, last thing I'll share is we have 29 projects. I get it. We do have 29 projects. It's a lot of projects, a lot of work. I've been, ever since I came aboard and starting to learn the projects, it's been rather difficult. But most importantly, we have weather stations, we have activate the bayous, we have steam centers, we have a whole array of projects. None of those projects get this sort of attention, and there's one common denominator, and I'll let everybody else figure that out. Thank you.
Mr. Henner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Grava, thank you for, you gave a really good, insightful presentation on the nuts and bolts of what CDBG are and what we have to do as a parish for Office of Community Development, HUD regulations. Tana, thank you for giving us that historical background of how we got to this point. I want to turn some attention to the actual resolution itself that Councilman Amadi proposed, and I seconded it. I want to start off by thanking Ms. Neal for helping us write this proposed resolution, the new one. It's thoughtful, and it's well done, and we worked together on that. I just wanted to let everybody know that our parish attorney approves this. I want to express my strong support for this revised resolution put forth by Councilman Amity and myself regarding the new location for Finding Our Roots. It demonstrates a clear commitment to fiscal responsibility, community enrichment, and the preservation of African American history in Terrebonne Parish. The new location offers significant advantages over the previous considered site. Not only does it present a more manageable scale for the museum project, but it also introduces an opportunity for substantial savings. We already talked about that, the $2 million in CDBG DR funds. And these savings, as we've heard, can be allocated to other critical projects we set as priorities. Equally important is the flexibility that the revised location affords the Finding Our Roots Museum by minimizing the burdensome parish restrictions and streamlining the administrative processes with the Office of Community Development. The museum will be able to pursue new funding sources, diversify its revenue streams, and ensure its operational sustainability for years to come. The museum will be able to continue its mission to tell the compelling story of African Americans in Terrebonne Parish and its growth as a cultural and educational institution. If the council decides to, the council's decision to address these public concerns regarding the scale, the financing, and the feasibility is commendable to all of us. The revised proposal directly responds to genuine feedback from the public, demonstrating a willingness of us to listen and adapt for the greater good of our community. By approving the new site, the Parish Council was positioning the Finding Our Roots Museum to open its doors sooner, giving residents and visitors alike the opportunity to engage with the vital history and heritage that shapes our parish. And I urge you, Jason, our parish president, to support and submit the necessary applications to Office of Community Development, confirming 7928 Main Street as the designated project site. This action not only supports the museum's immediate objectives, but it's going to also foster long-term cultural, educational, and economic benefits for Terrebonne Parish. Y'all, let's move forward together in favor of this revised resolution and embrace the promise of a more enriched, inclusive, and resilient community. Thank you.
Ms. Chauvin.
Thank you. Jason, I have a few questions for you. When you got this letter, you said that you had sent it off to see, if this was going to be doable. I know it's important to have the operational sustainability plan beforehand, because if we don't have a plan, then we may be on the line if it does fail. Is that what we're looking at? Because I'm looking at 4.5 million, and now the building is 1, so we went down, to the 1 million, but there's still 1.5, so we're actually doing 2.5 million?
That's what my understanding was of the request. Like I talked about earlier, as soon as we got the letter, I want to say it was last Wednesday, we did pass it on to CSRS to have them go through and, look at what the opportunities are, and been preparing a response since then. I'm hoping to have that by the end of this week, and to talk about what the next steps are. And like Taylor talked about, with this new building, you're gonna have to go through some of the things of, what the building cost looks like, what that is going to appraise for, and so I think we're not we don't have a clear answer on that yet. And as soon as we do, we'll let everybody know. But the first step is to start the application, or to edit the application with OCD, and then take this each step as we go through, which I'd imagine at some point it's gonna have to come back for the council for a budget amendment. As we understand, it's gonna have to follow the same steps that project and the rest of the projects followed.
So this resolution would only send it to say that, yes, go find out the answers, but in that time, we would also get the breakdown for the renovation and build out costs, the equipment, exhibits,
ma'am.
all that thing. So this is saying pursue, and we'll also get the backup from it to come back to vote.
That's what I understand, yes, ma'am. But we're gonna clarify all that. Like I said, we're still preparing the response to the letter and wanted to get with OCD and just make sure,
Well, before I vote, I want to make sure that that's what this is. Like
this is just asking us to consider doing the application to do the other building.
Okay.
That's what I read this as, and is that
And-
correct,
and-
Michelle?
Yes, sir. So the actual vote you're gonna see, which is gonna be the action that you're gonna have to take, is on the actual budget amendment.
Okay.
Tonight, the council is just saying, hey, parish president, can you please look at this, send this back to OCD, and see if we can get this new building considered as part of the project location instead of the old building. It's not, and really, I hate to say this, but it's a resolution, so it really doesn't have an effect of law. So
Okay.
it's just a communication between the council and the administration at this point. But I think the communication was heard, so,
Okay. But you understand what I'm asking? Like, I would like to see the plans
yes.
before I
they'll
vote
pl-
on.
Yes, you're gonna have
Right.
to see the plans, because if the
Okay.
budget needs to be amended, then you're gonna have to see them, yes.
And I'll add it, like, some of this is what kind of Taylor talked about earlier about being a little bit out of order, where we had to put a number up before we even had an appraisal, right? So, we're working within the confines of OCD and HUD and, the CBGR process. So, the first step is we're gonna get this revised application again, of which we were already working on,
Okay.
to get that done with the CSRS and OCD and see what they come back to us and say, because that's gonna be, depending on what they come back and say, is gonna be what we do to determine our next step or
So you're
requirement.
already doing this.
Yeah, we were working with CSRS when we got the letter last Wednesday of getting everything in place to understand with the opportunity of doing a different application or editing the application, yes.
And I did send an email in to both of you to try and get some of these numbers broken down so that I, can kind of look at them for myself and see them. But thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Babbitt.
Yeah, just one final thing. We've been kicking around a lot of millions here, there, $3.5 million here, $4.5 million. Tanner said it best, and we said it in the letter. The total package, if everything would have gone right, was $4.5 million. Originally, it was $1 million, and then there was $1.5 million added, and this, that, and the other. With this new application, it frees up $2 million out the total $4.5 million that was originally talked about. Am I right, Ms. Malden? So the $3 million that we've been hearing about was what was the proposed sale of HTV building. All right, it's not 3 million less this. Now that is off the table, and this building, let's say, appraises for $1 million, that's what frees up the other 2 million. Is my math relatively right? Okay, and then if that process goes through, then that 2 million can either be allocated to the other 28 projects, or if they agree to it, one of the alternate projects. So in essence, is freeing up 2 million. If all of those numbers match, it's freeing up $2 million. The museum has a place, and Mr. Martin Falls sells a building to the back. That's where all of this comes into play. I just want everybody to understand where we're going. We're not giving up $2 million somewhere. We're moving it in different areas. All right, thank you.
Mr. Wilder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gravois, one question, please. The Office of Community Development, at this point right now, has anything been sent to them on this first specific building?
Nothing official has been sent to OCD yet for this revised location.
Yes, sir.
However, we have started on some preliminary budget revisions that would need to happen in order to progress this revision. But simply internal to our office. We have not submitted that to OCD yet.
Okay, because just from my perspective, based on them not even knowing a specific facility, like you had said, changing facilities, budgeting that for whatever expenses that are added on to that to get that dollar amount, uh, doesn't seem like a stretch to me, just from what I'm hearing, and that we could actually send that in and also possibly have two existing funded projects that we might want to enhance with any remaining funds. And from speaking to Ms. Malden, before, there's a lot of precedent and historical data that if you don't spend all the money for a particular project, they're usually pretty good about allowing you to use it on existing, already funded, enhanced projects, is what I was told.
Yeah, so your perception is pretty accurate. And with the beauty of this revised location, it's adjacent to the original one because the key thing on this particular funding, you have to have this low to moderate income check mark. That's what the money is set up. And since the building is adjacent, you're still meeting this LMI requirement of using those dollars. If you wanted to go put this thing in gray, you would have a problem. But since it's adjacent, that helps this particular application. And yes, it's going to be subject to the final budget being approved, the appraisal, the building renovation cost, the startup cost, the whole ball of wax, right?
Yes, sir.
But once we get that revised budget amendment approved through OCD, whatever monies are surplus from the preliminary budget of 4.5 million or whatever that number was, I'm working from memory, that can be reallocated to those other 28 projects.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and if I'm understanding correctly, that's exactly where we're at in this process. So there's been no appraisal, there's been no environmental inspection. So it's not like these things have been done and we have to redo them, right? If we do change locations. And I think what you were saying was geography matters, right? Yeah, that's a big plus, right? But I, I guess my point I'm trying to make is the appraisal and the environmental, it hadn't been done yet. So it's not like we backing up and having to redo these things, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The only thing we really have to redo is really we have to, it's gonna be an amendment with OCD on the project application. But we don't, you're right, we have not done an appraisal on the new location, no environmental review yet, no building renovation estimates, none of that has been done. So we have to do all those things according to the OCD and HUD guidelines, and actually present a budget to OCD that meets all of the rules of the CDBG DR funding.
Absolutely. So this passing tonight and going through these procedures, if this passes tonight, let's say, and going through these procedures with the new building, it's not a substantial change to the project because they didn't know the project specifics in the first place,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, we're not losing a ton of time. We are losing some, but, you know, not much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming tonight and sharing.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Yep, my pleasure.
Mr. Trusclair.
Yeah, just a point of notice. Mr. Gradwa's firm, I know we've been using a lot of acronyms here tonight, just so everybody can understand. OCD, HUD, CSRS. CSRS is a consulting firm that actually working on the parish's behalf. They not affiliated with any government agency, HUD, OCD, or anything. They are actually technically hired by the parish to handle this for us. So if there's any questions about it, these guys can't speak for OCD, OCS, HUD, FEMA, anybody, but they work for us, work for Terrebonne Parish government. So just for clarity, that way, I know a lot of, a lot of people don't know all these acronyms mean, and it takes a lot of time to get caught up with some of this stuff. So just wanted to bring that out. Thanks.
Mr. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to ask, is it within or I guess within my pay grade to be able to be included on the communications? I just want to, I'm a bibliophile, if everybody knows what that means, but I like to read. Can I be attached to those emails and those communications when it comes to this new reinventing of the wheel for us to be able to do the project for funding our routes? Send me your file. I love to read every page, everything that you send me. Thanks. Or yeah, if everybody wants it, that'll eliminate a lot of the questions we might have.
Good.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Any more discussion? From the chair, I think that what is being done is being educated by a number of people. And in that education, I found myself listening to Mr. Pleasure when he said, bring in MOFAR, bring in CSRS, bring in Finding Our Roots Museum with the administration. And I'm glad Mr. Pleasure just made his statement because we had to take a trip to Baton Rouge because I didn't understand last year. And in that not understanding, and it's so much the people of Terrebonne Parish don't understand either. So going forward, it is very, very important that all parties, and we are the representatives of the people, we should know what we're doing, what road we're going down. It was a question that if we're making all of these appointments for environmental studies and stuff like that, one thing I wanted to understand how we get to zero. If we go in all of this environmental study, and that was one problem I had with the original project, is that we took $4.5 million and we had all these environmental studies and all kind of appraisals and stuff like that. It's kind of hard for me to believe for us to come exactly to zero when Finding Our Roots Museum would end up with zero. I heard the term said, if it fails. But if these 9 people that set up here, with the help of CSRS, with the help of this administration, saying that this museum is going to be in Terrebonne Parish and a positive position and place in Terrebonne Parish going forward, I can't sit here and say that I'm going to make a decision and expect failure from Terrebonne Parish. If anybody not getting it, I mean what I'm saying. This is supposed to work, just like paddle boating, just like everything else that we have and we support. Whether it's 9-0, 5-4, 6-3, at the end of the day, this decision is made for Terrebonne Parish. So without any further ado, it's been a motion by Mr. Amity, second by Mr. Hamner. In the order that you made the motion, because it's rather lengthy in wording, members cast your vote. And my light is out. Mr. Ham? No. Yeah. We have 8 registered votes, and I have problems with my machine. It's a unanimous vote. Motion passes.
Motion to go to 6:30 public hearing?
Motion by Mr. Amity, second by Mr. Babin. There we go to 6:30, Mr. Pleasure. There we go to 6:30 public hearing. Yeah. A, an ordinance to amend the parish code to remove the yeah, it was 9-0. No, it showed 8 up here.
Going to public hearing.
Public hearing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, my machine is not working. All right. Okay. Go to public hearing. Motion passed 7-0. While they vacating, Mr. The House Representative Tanner McGee was in here. I also want to recognize former council member Mr. Wayne Thibodeau, District number 2. Okay. Item A, an ordinance to amend the parish code to remove Regal Road between Regency Lane and Museum Drive from the list of speed hump locations to provide for removal of said humps and for other matters related thereto. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion to close by Mr. Babin. Second by Mr. Babin. Mr. Amity. Been a long night. Members, vote your machine. Members, vote your machine. I'm in favor. Motion passed 9-0. Motion to adopt by Mr. Motion adopted by Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Amity. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. I'm a yay. Motion passed 9-0. B, an ordinance to amend the Terrebonne Parish Code, and the ordinance is to establish a no parking zone along both sides of the entirety of Quarter Mill Lane. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion closed, Mr. Pleasure. Second by Mr. Amity. Members, vote your machine. My vote is yes, 9-0. Motion passed. Motion to adopt, Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Amity. All right, let's move that back on now. Members, vote your machine. It is adopted. Motion by Mr. Amity to go back in the regular order, second by Mr. Babin. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Public hearing with speaker cards. There are no speaker cards. No one wishes to address the council. Now we have the committee reports. Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on September 8th, 2025, and I have 2 public hearings. Hearing number 1, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget for the following items. Item number 1, Office of Emergency Preparedness, $3,564. Item number 2, Houma Police Department, $23,378. Item number 3, Houma Police Department, $623. Item number 4, Houma Police Department, $23,239. Item number 5, Houma Police Department, $5,536. Item number 6, FTA, City of Thibodaux, $136,992. Item number 7, CDBG DR, Support the Seafood Industry Phase 1, $1.5 million. Item number 8, CDBG DR Small Business Grant, $3 million, and call a public hearing on said matter on September 24th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number 2, consider the introduction of an ordinance to authorize the issuance of a not existing $25 million of public improvement sales tax revenue bonds in one or more series of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana, prescribing the forms and terms and conditions of such bonds, providing for the funding of certain outstanding bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, September 24th at 2025 at 6:30 PM.
Third.
Motion by Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Bobbin. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Community Development and Planning Committee, Ms. Chauvin.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Community Development Planning Committee held on September 8th, 2024. Should be 2025. Should be 2025, and I have one public hearing. Resolution giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the Parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to R2 Two Family Residential, 127 Samuel Street, Houma, Louisiana. Iona L. Brown applicant, and calling a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 at 6:30 PM.
Moved by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Pleasure. In the discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Public Service Committee, Mr. Voisin. Light, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee held on Monday, September 8th, 2025, and I have no public hearings.
Moved by Mr. Voisin, second by Mr. Trustclair. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed 8-0. Street lights, as per Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Babin. Members, vote your machine. Motion passed 8-0. Appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees and commissions. A, Veterans Memorial Board, 2 expiring terms on 9/17/2025. 1 representing the Russell Redmond American Legion Post 272, and 1 representing the parish president south of the Intercoastal, Mr. Jimmy D. Truitt, representing the Russell Redmond American Legion Post 272, expresses his interest in being appointed.
Open, close, and appoint Mr. Tewitt and hold over the other.
Motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Trustclair, that we would appoint Mr. Truitt to the Russell Redmond, excuse me?
It's reappoint.
Yeah, the reappointment to Russell Redmond, American Legion, Post 272, and hold the parish president's representative from south of the Intercoastal. Members, vote your machine. Passed 9-0. Monthly reports. Moved by Ms. Chauvin. Second by Ms. Amity. Members, vote your machine. Motion passed 7-0. At this time, I will actually pass item number 7 to Ms. Chauvin to run this.
Seven council members request discussion of a Councilman Carl Harding requests a discussion with the Quality of Life Department regarding recreational programs in the Gray Recreation District 1 area. Mr. Harding.
Yes, usually I get rather high strung, so I wrote this, and y'all bear with me. Good evening. At the start of the council meeting, we had a prayer and we had a pledge of allegiance. And that prayer and pledge represented strong moral values which I possess, and the patriotic privileges that we have as Americans in supporting the Constitution of this United States of America. Freedom, justice, and equality. The other day, I was actually in a council meeting, and I had one of my constituents. He had actually came up and he had an issue, and he presented himself with an issue during the session where we had a speaker card that we had to fill out, and I only allowed in 4 minutes. And then I was touched by his concern, and generally, when people come up, we have a relationship only with that council member representing his constituent. Later, I talked to the gentleman afterwards, and he expressed his concern, and I asked him where was the other people that had the same concerns, and he wished to have a better opportunity to have his case to be heard with more people and a greater opportunity to present himself. So what I want to find out here, because I had a discussion with our attorney, and the intent of this agenda item is to hear from others who may be concerned as it relates to the quality of life and the recreation boards. Secondly, I would not like to look over the fact that Rec One board is associated with the incipient stage of the complaint. But across the board, we look at quality of life and how it represents itself across the board, because recreation has always been a problem with different recreation districts and how they are managed and who manages them. So what I hope that right now, if the members of the public, I think Ms. Chauvin, they have some speaker cards there. There are some members of the public like to speak on this particular subject matter. They're in order.
Is that the one that you had on the side under the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Mr. Wayne Thibodeau wishes to address the council regarding item number 7, rec number 1. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Wayne Thibodeau, 139 Sparks Court in Gray. Council Chair.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, now, you're good. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be called on speaker card. I'm glad we were not, because there's about 3 or 4 of us who want to talk about item 7A, specifically Recreation District 1. The district includes Oakshire, Shriever, the new establishment on Coteau, and the Gray Park. And we here tonight because we are concerned about the board's unresponsiveness, in our opinion, to the Gray Park. So Shriever might be fine, Oakshire might be good, and I'm not sure how happy the people in Coteau are now about that new park. It looks real good. So, I guess a couple years ago, I came to the council and some of you were trying to consolidate the districts, and I was strongly against that. But if you ask me tonight, because of what we are experiencing with the Larry Randolph Park in Gray, I might change my mind. I might tell you I'm for consolidation, because I really don't think the district is serving the constituents in Gray or Betaville proper. Now, the president of the Gray Improvement Committee is here. She told me to make sure I tell y'all that I'm a chronic voter, and I pay my 7 mills regarding or towards Recreation District 1. So my complaints and grievances probably started. I don't attend every board meeting of the district, but I do go sometimes. And sometime back, I did appear at the board meeting asking about a piece of special needs playground equipment for the Great Park that was already existing at Oakshire and other places. The equipment was there in the district possession, but it was sitting alongside the gym on the ground in Oakshire. So when I asked the board about it, they said, oh yeah, we're gonna put it up. And here we are probably a year or more later, and it's still not up. And then, I guess more recently, we have a senior center in Gray. And the seniors went to the Great Park wanting to have impromptu, I guess, picnic, and they were told they couldn't do it. So instead, they were forced to go to the Mechanicville Park to have that picnic. And so more recently, and by the way, before you kill me, I want some Tanner McGee time, all right? He was up here a while, so give me that kind of compassion, all right? More recently, contemporaneously, within the last, I guess, week or two or so on, the coach and the football team, the coach has about 60, 50, 60, maybe 70 young people. They were practicing at a lease site at the Great Park. So they now have been forced to leave that practice site and go to Oakshire to do their practicing. So I said contemporaneously. So at the same time, the district decide that they're going to pull up all the utility poles and all the lights off the practice field. So don't tell me, don't ask me why. I have no clue why that happened. And then finally, let's see, there was a third item there yeah, after the fact, they sent a letter to the Gray Improvement Committee, with whom they have a cooperative endeavor agreement with, and cancel the lease. Not in order of the contract and the dwelling lease, but in order of somebody who decided that they needed to write this letter and cancel, irrespective of what was in the contract. And so, just a few other things, council members, and I don't want to tell you about your duties because I know you know them all. But I did make a few notes here with regards to recreation district, state statute, and even the parish code and the parish statute. And just quickly, we know that the Louisiana revised statute, and somewhere between 334562 and 4566, and they talk about recreation districts and why they were created in the parishes. And what's pointed out here is very important. And it said the creation, and I'm going to summarize this, I'm not going to read everything here. The creation of these districts was to focus on activities that promote recreation and well-being, particularly for youth. All right? And they have the power to manage programs that benefit the community. Right now, I don't have the impression that Recreation District 1 they're concerned. Their unresponsiveness, in our opinion, is representing the Gray community. Now, Gray, we used to call Betaville, so I might say it starts at the overpass and it ends somewhere before you get to Evergreen or Shreveport. In between that, there's no representative on Rec District 1 board that lives in the community. There's nobody there to look out for us. You saw in your infinite wisdom to remove Anthony Rainey. He was a stone throw away from the park, but we have no one now who can communicate with the community or the Gray Improvement Committee or just resident, period, to tell us what the status of the business for Rec District number 1. The next thing I have here is statute at 334563. It says recreation districts, objects or objectives and purposes. It said the object and purpose of the recreation district created under what I just mentioned was 334562 shall be to own and operate playgrounds and to offer facilities or related activities designed to encourage recreation and promote the general health and well-being of youth. Again, we just ran some young people in the coach, 60 or 70 of them, from the Gray practice field to Oakshire, no matter what the hardship on them or their parents will be. The Terrebonne Parish Recreation District 1 was created to promote and provide organized recreational activities, manage community facilities, and promote healthy lifestyles for residents in the area. They oversee parks, gyms, and other facilities, supporting programs for people of all ages. By doing so, they help foster community engagement and improve the overall quality of life, and we do have a quality of life department, for residents in Terrebonne Parish by listening to the public needs and planning for the future to create a modern recreation vision for the system while promoting transparency, trust, and responsiveness. We don't trust, the people who live in between that area I just gave you, who utilize that asset we call Larry Randolph Park, we don't trust the Recreation District 1, and they are not responsive. And let me move on a little further before you get tired of me. 33-12-36, the powers of the parish governing authority. You already know that because y'all have dealt with some recreation districts. You've taken them in on oversight. You've managed to.
Hold on. Motion to extend by Mr. Harding, seconded, by Mr. Hamner. Hold on. Vote your machines, yeah. Okay. Extended. Okay. Wait for the green.
Okay.
light. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. So in this 33-12-36, it talk about the powers of the parish governing authority. I'm gonna make this short here. It talks about your responsibility for parks, parkways.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And other public buildings and grounds. So let me finalize this. They say, and the final question asks, what authority does the parish council have over its recreation district? And again, I ain't gonna go through all of this with you, but the parish council has oversight, you understand that, authority over the recreation districts, which are community-focused organizations providing recreational opportunities for residents. Their districts manage facilities, gyms, and so on. And the bottom line is this setup all allows the districts to provide various programs and activities while working within the parish broader governance framework. So,
Okay.
my final comment to you all is that I believe all 7 members of the board for Rec District 1, and I can only speak to the assets we have in the great community, and that's the Larry Randolph Park. And I believe that they have failed to discharge their public obligations under common law, customs, or in this case, state and parish statutes. So if I had my choice, and I'm gonna ask you tonight, remove all 7 of them, and let's do something different. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Harding, do you want to speak now or do you want to go through? Okay, all right. So do the. Okay, so, yes, the next speaker card, we're gonna do 3 minutes. How are you gonna do it? Mr. Arnold Adams. When you come up, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes. So start it. Okay.
Arnold Adams, Senior. My address is 161 Bon Jovi Boulevard, Gray, Louisiana, 70359. I serve on the Recreation Board for 32 years, District 1 Board for 32 years, the last 14 years as Board Chairman. During the 18-year tenure as Board Member, I serve under the leadership of 4 different chairpersons. When I became chairman, I knew the board needed to create a good working relationship with the people in the communities that we represent in order to be successful. For the record, what I'm about to say have no reverence or connection to the Terrebonne Parish School Board or H.L. Bourgeois High School. In the last 5 years, I have observed something really that caught my attention. First, 4 out of the 7 board members of District 1 Board are co-workers of H.L. Bourgeois High School. So 4 co-workers make up a majority of the board. Second, the last 3 out of 4 board members that was appointed to the board by the council was teachers of H.L. Bourgeois. Some council members might say, I was not aware of this. Shame on you. other council members was aware of it. Someone on Recreation Board played lobbyist to get certain council members to choose their applicant. How I know is because on 3 separate occasions, I myself brought 3 application to the council office. But on 3 separate occasions, none of those applicants was appointed to the board. But on all 3 occasions, teachers from H.L. Bourgeois was appointed to the board. Something is wrong with that picture. Seem like board members and some council members are setting up a coalition to make sure the majority of the board members on District 1 are co-workers of H.L. Bourgeois. I want to close by saying, when the parish president and the council changed the name of Terrebonne Parish Recreation Department to the Quality of Life, I know they didn't mean a better.
Hold on 1 second.
Motion to extend.
Motion to extend by Mr. Pledger, second by Mr. Hamner. You have another minute, sir. So- Oh, sorry, we gotta vote. Hold on 1 second. Members vote your machines. Yep, sorry. Will it pop up? 9-0. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
When the parish president and the council changed the name of Terrebonne Parish Recreation Department to the Quality of Life, I know they didn't mean a better quality of life, health, well-being, and wellness for some and retaliation for others. Today, I didn't come here to pick a fight with anyone, but I did come here to stand up for what is right for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Ms. Dawn Johnson. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Okay, go
Hello,
ahead.
my name is Dawn Johnson. I live at 212 Willowdale Drive in Gray, Louisiana. I am a concerned citizen in the Gray community. I thank you so much for allowing us to be able to stand before you today and to share our concerns with you because it's very important. And after Mr. Thibodeau and Mr. Arnold, as you heard, they were very passionate and very compelling in what they said about our community. And just to let you know, I am the president of the Gray Improvement Committee, and we've been working in the community for years and working with District 1 for years. Not sure exactly what's going on as to why the relationship has gone so crazy, but we're here to try to hope that you guys come up with a good solution to make things right and that our quality of life in the Gray community is improved and that working relationship happens. So on several occasions, we've just had ongoing complaints and ongoing issues in reference to that. And so we really would like to come to a resolution. And we don't understand why our parks are being locked and that the residents in the Gray area does not have access to those parks. We don't know. We are taxpayers. We're registered voters. I don't understand why that's happening. We don't understand why there's grass, that there's safety issue with overgrowth of grass. And when we attend the meetings and we state these things, they're not being taken care of. Not in a fashion that will keep our residents safe. So we're not understanding that. We want to know why. And, we want to know why that the program that we finally got into our community that we've been excited about, why that program is now being told that it has to go somewhere else when there's kids in the community that actually can walk and participate in that program. But they're being told that no, your kids don't matter in this community. No, you got your kids gonna have to travel somewhere else when they can actually walk and participate in programs in the community. That
Hold on one second, hold on. Motion to extend by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Hamner. Vote your machines. 9 yeas. I would give you another minute. Hold up. Why is it doing, hold up one second. Why is it doing this? Okay, go ahead, sorry.
I'll wrap things up by saying I don't understand why Rec 1 District Board is being unfriendly to our community. I don't understand that. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker cord, Tori Adams. Please state your name and address for the record, please, and you'll have 3 minutes.
How y'all doing today? My name Tori Adams. I live at 139 Crestview Court in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a community coach. I coach, she says 60-something kids, but in the course of a year, I'm able to mentor 200 and some kids and parents a year. And between the ages of 5 and 12, you know, the kids, and even basketball, we coach kids all the way to 17. And, you know, we've been having a little bit of trouble from the very beginning. So the quality of life, they do they part with me. Like, I'll go and get stuff from them what I need. But when it's come down to the rec district, it's all different. So I'm a for instance, give me that notebook right there. So the very first time, so I started coaching in 2014, by the way. So in 2024, I branched off on my own away from, I used to coach with the Shreveport Stars. So I branched off in 24 and I started my own program. So the very first time we had practice, we practiced at the Great Park for flag football. They gave Mr. Phil and everybody at the Quality of Life, they gave them a passcode to give to me to get in the field. When I get to the field, it don't have a combination lock on the gate. I got all the parents lined up in the line, ready to go to practice. I go to the gate, no lock. The lock need a key. Very first practice, can't get in the gate. So we gotta redo all this and we went to Andrew Price. Same thing, after flag football, tackle football start. So they tell me I can't use the Great Park for tackle. I gotta go to Oakshire. So we go to Oakshire. Very first practice, they give me the code to the lock, get to the gate don't lock. Very first practice, every time. They give me the code, I put the code in, I called them, they tell me they changed the code because they don't want me to have the code to the main entrance gate. That's like, we've been having problem after problem. And the very first day when they sent me out, the grass wasn't even cut to the right of way to where the kids could have access to the restroom. So we was denied the field and we was denied the.
Hold on one second, sir. Motion to extend by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Hamner. Vote your machines. Okay, motion to extend for a minute. Go ahead. There you go.
And that was in 24 and this year is haven't been getting any better. And with all this going on, they call me a troublemaker. So they tell me, because I'm looking out for the best interest of the kids, like to have the right of way to be able to get to the restroom and somewhere closer for us to practice. They call me a troublemaker. And they threaten me to not to go to any rec district 1 meetings anymore. Or they gonna find a way to not have me coach because I'm a troublemaker. The team would be able to go on the field and practice, but I wouldn't be able to touch any rec 1 district fields and coach them. And that's the stuff I've been dealing with for 2 years with rec district 1. And with that being said, I asked them about the restrooms. They wouldn't let me so they wouldn't cut the right of way for 2 years. So I asked them to give me the key to the baseball field just to be able to cut across to go to the restroom. So we went to the meeting on the 30th, June 30th. They told me they was gonna give me the key. The very next day, they called me on the phone and told me off the record that they wasn't giving me no key. We was gonna have to continue using the right of way. That's right. So it's been a rough go with them, and I'm not happy with them, man. I'm trying my best to do what I got to do with the kid, with the kid for the kids and all, without causing uproar and getting me in trouble or getting somebody else in trouble. You know, and I'm just trying to do it the best way I can. I done been to rec district meetings, that didn't make a difference. So I figured I had to come here because I don't know if the complaints was even reaching here. You know, and it's been 2 years. Yep, 2 years. Yeah. So I got a whole bunch. I can stay up here all night. I got a folder full of stuff. I got videos. I got text messages. So anything y'all need that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
So
Okay, next speaker card is Mr. Anthony Rainey. And you'll have 3 minutes, Mr. Rainey. State your name and address.
Anthony Rainey, 3593 Highway 316, Gray, Louisiana. Now let me sum it all up. The first complaints we had about the park was it was being closed too early to the people in the Gray community. They couldn't exercise, they couldn't walk. So we go to the board, we ask the board, why are we closing the park so early? The board tell us that the guy that closes the park got into it with the kids in the neighborhood. And they had a beef backwards and forward threatening. I said, well, I tell you what, why you don't call the police? That's the police job the last time I checked, but to serve and protect. We're not gonna let 1 or 2 little kids in our neighborhood ruin everything for everybody else. Okay, so now we're going complaining about the parks being closed early, this, that, and other. Well, they ain't changing the time. Now we got more people complaining about the parks because they need to exercise. More kids are coming out, more kids are playing. Okay, so we fine and dandy with that. Now let's fast forward to Mr. Torrey. He come to me about the restrooms and stuff. I said, well, Mr. Torrey, they threatening you and doing everything. I say, let me handle it because I don't want you to jeopardize what you're doing for the kids in our neighborhood if they trying to run you off. Okay, now all of this sum up for simple requests to use the human right to use the restroom. Okay, any of y'all familiar with the Gray football field? You familiar with the Gray football field? Okay, so the Gray football field is located behind the Randolph Park. Okay, in order to get to that field, you can access it through the Gray Park by walking, but we can't access it because the gates are locked. Okay, otherwise, when you go through Mobile Estate, you go in there, and that's how you park to go to football practice. So all of this started because we asked for a simple right to get a key to go to the restroom. They wouldn't get a coach the key. Every time we go to the board, they say it's TPR. It's TPR. TPR got to do that. Okay, so I call parish management, try to talk to Mr. Norliret. You know, I didn't talk to him, so I guess he must have corresponded with Mr. Field. So Mr. Field calls me. He tells me, Well, Mr. Rainey, they not putting no restroom out there. The board chairman says that they have access to the restroom. I say, Mr. Phil, can you please come see that they do not have access to the restroom because they are not opening the gate? He said, well, Mr. Rainey, that's the way it is, and they're not gonna do it. So I said, okay, well, you don't want to come see me, I'm gonna come see you. So I put it on Facebook. I show it to the whole public, okay? So that's the problem we're having. So now,
Hold on, Mr. Rainey, hold on. Motion to extend by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Hamner. Vote your machines. Wait till the green light comes on. Motion passes. You have a minute, sir.
so now we got a guy that opening and closing the park, okay? He's there, he's talking to the people, reckless or whatever. He's not a people's person, if you ask me. In order to have that job, you deal with a bunch of people, okay? Now you having a bunch of problems with one or two little kids in the neighborhood, okay? Now I see Miss Yolanda. Where Miss Yolanda at? Can you come see, ma'am? Now this is a Terrebonne Parish cheerleader coach that have 35 or 40 little kids young ladies that she's teaching to cheer. Okay, she's having cheerleader practice. This same guy that's opening and closing this park, he calls the police for the little girl, for the young lady. He calls the police and tells the police she having an unauthorized event. Okay, now you won't call the police for the little kids that's bothering you, but you calling that for a young lady that's volunteering her time. Something is wrong with this picture with this board. Okay, so I go back to the board. I say, y'all are violating the parish ordinance. Section 21:1. The parks should be open from dusk to dawn. Could you please just open the parks back up so the people can do what they need to do in our community? Okay, now back to Mr. Torrey. They forcing him to go to Oakshire when even if they took all the lights, the goalposts, they took everything that they may have put on that park. But before we got that park, we was practicing in Randolph Park. Okay? So you want to send us 8 miles up the road when you can move us 1 block right here. But you don't want to do that because you don't want to open up the gates. And they could walk from there to.
Hold on, Mr. Rainey. You want to extend? Okay. 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 All right. That was your time, sir. Okay, thank you. Mr. Harding, Councilman Harding.
Thank you, sir. The reason why that this process has taken place because, number one, I don't want to offend the process and the way it should be handled. I myself have actually, on a number of occasions, been called to attend a rec meeting. I've actually heard a number of complaints. And after hearing, I might as well call your name, Anthony, from being here, last council meeting, I was more concerned, and to even see that the poles that were taken down and the circumstances that led up to that, I was somewhat at a rage. And it's been a problem in Terrebonne Parish now, quality of life in reference to recreation. Who owns the property? They collect a millage. There are some circumstances where different millages have different situations. So the recommendation was to come here and have an opportunity because I felt as if the people in the Gray area, in the Shriever area, in the Johnson Ridge area, in the Bayou Blue area, and some folk that were in the Koto area, those people were actually having an opportunity when you look at Terrebonne Parish and the growth of Terrebonne Parish, because this recreation district a few years back only collected about $600,000. And in that area where Gray is, there's been so many industries that actually come into that particular area. So they basically doubled their amount of money that they are collecting. So in collecting that money, and most of the people that playing on that football team is from the Gray area. So not to really attack Rec One, I think it's recreation, and Mr. Tibbetts, you alluded to it. Yes, we did support the fact that, we were against that. But then if we want the quality of life for everyone, then it has to pack fair. So I asked the parish attorney to listen to the complaints. And how does it associate with quality of life? Because I'm trying to figure out if the recreation district is responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep, and the quality of life presents a program by demand, that program should be there because of the demand. So I'm suggesting, after I hear from our attorney, that you revisit at the next meeting at Recreation District 1, not to overstep them, and see if your voices will be heard much clearer now. Then, if you feel as if, with some type of justification, that you are not satisfied when you go to that recreation district, then come back here. But we want to do it in order. Address the issue again with Recreation 1. And if you're not satisfied, I'm recommending that you come back here. Ms. Neal, from what you actually have gathered and what we had talked about to actually try to rectify this problem.
Thank you, sir. I took some diligent notes. So I'll follow up. I heard some words that I have additional questions on. I heard the word lease agreement. I heard the words removing some equipment. I'm going to follow up with our quality of life director and see if I can get some answers to some questions that I have based on the notes that I took tonight. I'll follow up with you as well and let you know what we determine.
And most important thing is the fact that the quality of life has been mentioned. And quality of life actually doesn't necessarily just have to be football. It could be a demand, in my opinion, for pickleball. And there's been a demand for pickleball. If the survey is actually done to have pickleball over that tennis court, where if it's locked at 6 o'clock at night or and no one can actually pull up to use the tennis court, but then, we're actually wasting our money, but we're all collecting taxes through a millage. So we want to look at the quality of life there and want to find out if you can, Ms. Neal, when you speak with the quality of life, we want to actually look at the fact that if we want to provide a service at Randolph Park, and the quality of life who have first preference at gyms, when these recreation districts have these gyms to give a quality of life basketball game, if it's sanctioned by the quality of life, then what we want to do is the fact that who has the power? Because did some research on that, and a board member, actually, he was offended because I said they did not own the property. Can I ask you that question, Ms. Neal? Who actually owns the property in Terrebonne Parish by these recreation districts?
Yes, sir. So there are some properties that the Recreation District 1 does actually own. I have not been able to determine which ones they are on the map, but when I looked into the assessor's office, I did see that they have some properties in several different places. So it could be that they own the particular properties that were mentioned tonight. I don't have the addresses on these parks that were mentioned tonight, so I'm going to go and look them up and see if they match the properties that the recreation district actually owns. In some cases, I know in some recreation districts, they own property. Some recreation districts, they just run the property that the parish owns. So I'll have to go back and match the property in the assessor's records to the parks that I'm hearing about tonight to see if they actually own those. So that's going to require some additional research on my part.
Yeah, and I'm only actually representing the people, and then I want them to hear it. You're gonna do some research, and I guess the great community, when they definitely be on me about representing them. That's what I'm doing right up here, right now. We want to make sure that all the ducks are lined up, the I's are dotted, and T's are crossed, because we want to actually. It's a nice park, you know, man. And I was I think I called one of our a member of the administration when the senior citizen problem arose, and we had to move the senior citizens to the Mechanicsville area. So that was something that we got to have a heart in Terrebonne Parish. You know what I mean? If it's a problem and you see there's a problem, but I promise you right now, I'm gonna fight against it because I think it's unfair. But I want to do it in order. I want to represent the people that's out there. Nothing against Rec One. I think we have to find out who's in charge and how they operate. Thank you.
Mr. Hamner.
Am I on?
Yes.
Yeah. Carly, you were much nicer than I'm going to be because you said to tell these people to go to the next meeting and work it out. You know, they came and spoke up here for the children. Children can't wait for the next meeting. And I have one question for Hillary, for Jason. How soon can you address those needs? Get the lights back on, get the grass cut, and get them some keys so that those kids can go play ball. Yeah? Why wait for a meeting? You got the power. You're the director. Yeah, I'm not making a grandstand over here, but children need their parks. Yeah, and Michelle, you're right on top of everything as far as the legalities go, but let's not make our children wait, for the adults to come to, figure everything out. While the adults are figuring it out, let the children go play on those fields with grass cut and bathrooms open.
Okay, hold on.
And I know I put you on the spot, but I spent 33 years of my life working with children of all ages. Heaven, I miss Chauvin. She was one of them. And this was the other one. And that was the third one. Yeah. I wouldn't have let them do it to y'all. Don't let them do it to these kids today.
Mr. Bajoran.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go off of what I understand our authority is, and not understanding which property this is as I understand it, is Rec One's property. And I understand we can't do anything on Rec One's property. One of the things that we've been talking about over here is that we have this newly formed Rec Advisory Board. And I do feel like that this is a great opportunity for this to go to them. And I think this is why we exactly set up the Rec Advisory Board, is to work through issues just like this. So anything within our power, we'll definitely do, but if it's not our property, we can't. So I just got to confirm with legal and everything else, so.
Yeah. Again, yeah, I don't want to let the kids wait while the adults try to figure it out. Let's do what's best for those children. That's our greatest. We talked about a lot of things tonight. Assets to Terrebonne Parish and buildings and infrastructure. But our greatest asset is those kids. Whether you're from District 1, District 2, District 6.
Yeah, we're gonna see what we could do, but if any of the council members up here know that there's something better as far as the rec districts versus what we can do with quality of life, I'm all ears.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Okay. Mr. Amade.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And for the council members, I would caution you to not jump to conclusions, Mr. Hamner. There's another side to this story. This agenda item says nothing about the discussion of problems with Rec District Number 1. It talks about a discussion with the Quality of Life Department. I didn't see Mr. Domingue stand up to the microphone. So we're apparently going after Rec 1 without inviting them to come defend themselves. So until anybody starts hussing and fussing and grandstanding, why don't you invite them to come and share? Why don't you go talk to them? I can give you a few answers right now. Their tax revenue was lost when Chevron and Shell moved all their assets out of the district. So they're trying to make up some of that money. Their insurance costs has tripled since Hurricane Ida. They have to make up that money. They're leasing a field that costs them over $50,000 a year to run when they got football fields at Oakshire and Andrew Price that can be used. The Randolph Park baseball field can be used for football practice. Because if Mr. Domingue would be so kind, he can let us know, are any of those things scheduled? Baseball, do they use those parks? No, they don't. Why? Because all the baseball games are scheduled for the park at Bayou Country. You know, right, 311. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that was said tonight that I think before y'all jump to conclusions, you need to get answers from them. Let them have their say as well. And I'll just leave it at that.
For the audience, I need you to keep it down. Okay. Mr. Pledger.
Good job, Madam Chair. Just, and again, just to echo what she said, you guys just, I know the emotions are running a little bit high. I get it totally. But just a few points that I have to make, and, of course, this is not in my district. I'm just gonna speak based on passion. One, you guys are bringing it to us. My colleague, Mr. Amity, he said that there's another side to the story. It is another side to the story. With that being said, Parish President mentioned that it's a great opportunity for the Rec Advisory Board. I would have to not agree with that because the Rec Advisory Board deals with each individual chairman from all the rec districts plus the quality of life. If they did hear your complaint, they can't do anything. We make the decision of who sits on the rec board, who's got problems at the rec boards and things like that. So with that being said, I'd suggest that something be developed or a committee or something be put together so we don't have to publicly insult people or not give people a chance by the council. You're the council chairman, Mr. Harding. So I would suggest you take this and make something happen and figuring out what we got going on. We're kicking that can. Mr. Hamner makes a very valid point. We're waiting for what? For them to talk to our legal, and what legal's gonna do? Come back and tell us what she thinks, and she doesn't make the decision? No, we have to sit down and do that, whether it be 3 of us, 2 of us at a time, whatever, and we make the decision collectively. This is not something we're going to pass on to someone else. And we shouldn't pass it on to someone else. It's something we need to decide. Now, are all these allegations true? I don't know. Or with the rec district, oh, you cut me off.
No, I did not. Hold up, motion to extend. No,
Motion
it
to
cut
extend.
off.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But yeah, let's some of the things I heard, I can't believe. I'm just hoping that's not the case. I'm just hoping that's not the case because specifically the young lady that came up and she spoke, I think she's the president of the committee. You mentioned something that's very important, even when you're buying a house, when people are looking to move into a parish because of a walking score. That makes a very good point there. You want to have facilities close, but and the seniors being kicked out for an impromptu, whatever, I don't know. We have an issue. We have an issue. Tonight, it should be figured out where we're going to go from here. Them bringing the complaint to our legal, what that's going to do. It's not going to do anything. We have to do our jobs and make sure that the rec district is being treated fairly and also that our people in the community are being recreated as such as recreation. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pledger. Councilman Harding.
Yes. I agree, Mr. Pleasure. I actually appreciate the passion that Mr. Hammer has addressed, but we really need the information to be put out there correctly. I do not want to attack them. It's just like Mr. Amity said, they're not here. The intent was not to actually throw them under the bus. The intent was to hear from the people. And that we're hearing from the people. I spoke with the quality of life director, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna go on. Because we have to get to the root of the matter, but I want to get to the root of the matter is we got enough problems as it is, but then they have a problem out there in Gray. They were asked if they could use the baseball field and they were denied for practice. Over 30 or whatever amount of thousands of dollars was actually spent to uproot the lights and the poles in Gray. They could have let them stay there, turned off, and didn't spend the money if they were in the hole. But they're not here, and that's why I want to go with these people to address it at their meeting. It's unfortunate that the kids may have to go there. They still can actually practice, or we have to work this out, or we may work this out between now and that meeting. But the matter needs to be addressed as soon as possible because it's an issue for the kids. It's not, I don't know what's the problem there, but these people are demanding that. And I want to give them the opportunity or even invite them here. But then we have to take action. I would take any recommendation, but right now we will only bring it to the forefront of the people we can actually handle the matter the way it's supposed to be handled.
Mr. Harding?
Yes.
Mr. Hamner?
Yeah. I want to thank Councilman Amady for saying the words he said. It kind of brought me back down to earth. I didn't mean to get so passionate about it. It's just that when it comes to kids, I get my dander up, and that's all I ever really meant. I didn't mean put anybody on the spot, but yeah, I don't want the kids to have to wait for the adults to to go through all the processes of everything. That's all I ever really wanted.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. Mr. Amadei?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and that's understandable, Mr. Hamner. Mr. Harding, were you given a number, an actual number of what it costs to take those poles down?
Oh, hold on.
All right. No, sir. Well, someone in the public making those Facebook posts was saying $27,000. It was $2,750. And you and anybody else can see the invoices.
1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to remain calm and quiet. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on. Oh, Mr. Wazan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Domingue? I just want to make sure you had the opportunity to come to the podium if you wanted to add anything to the conversation.
Mr. Wazan? You want, okay. Whatever. Is she gonna put it on or me?
Just to add, I had some very good conversations with Mr. Harding about this, told him how I was listening to what the concerns were. We talked about it at length. The issues that are brought up here today are concerning for everybody. We want to make sure that the people who are recreated in this parish, whether they're children or adults, are taken care of. And I think that the people who need to be informed were tonight, and that they are going to do their due diligence to find out all the facts on this and move forward. But I appreciate the time, and I thank you, Mr. Harding, for reaching out to me so we can talk about this and move forward with it and try to get something done correctly to make sure that our kids and our community are taken care of.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next. You'd come and take over? Okay, we'll go back to Chairman Harding.
So now we're at item 8, vacancies of various boards, committees, and commissioners. Recreation District 3A Board, 1 vacancy due to resignation. Number 4 Board, 2 expiring terms on 10/11/25. Recreation District Number 10 Board, 1 expiring term on 9/11/25. Fire District Number 5 Board, 1 expiring term. Coto Fire Protection District Board, 1 expiring term. Bayou Blue Protection District Board, 1 expiring term on 09/13/25. Downtown Development Corporation, 1 expiring term representing the Historical Society, and 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the Terrebonne Garden Club. Consolidated Waterworks District Number 1, 1 expiring term. Homer Board of Adjustment, 1 expiring term on 9/1/25. Veterans Memorial District Board, Airport Commission, 1 expiring term on 10/15/25. Coastal Zone Management and Coastal Restoration Advisory Committee, 5 expiring terms on 10/31/25. 1 representing commercial fishing, 2 representing the public, 1 representing property owners, and 1 representing recreational fishing. HACVB Board, 4 expiring terms, 12/20, 12/31/35, 25. 1 representing historical culture and 3 representing the civic non-profit organization. Announcement, Parish President.
Yes, sir. Thank you. A few things to announce. Tomorrow at 8:59 at the Veterans Park on 311, there'll be a 9/11 Remembrance Day. Wednesday, 9/17, we're going to have the Pointe-au-Champ Town Hall at St. Charles Church in Pointe-au-Champ at 6 p.m. And then we have Hero Fest, September 19th through the 21st at the Civic Center. That supports all of our first responders and a lot of good food and music. Lastly, I just feel like I can't not say anything about life lost today based on violence that is just definitely not needed. I know we've had a lot of discussions here tonight, and we just definitely need to make sure at the end of the day that we have ultimate respect for each other and empathy for each other, to not know what maybe somebody else is going through, but that it doesn't escalate the violence. And so, if y'all don't mind, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk and his family. Thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, just as a reminder, after the thing at Veterans Park tomorrow, the Military Museum is open all day long. It's an open house to commemorate the 24th anniversary of 9/11. So I'd like for people to attend. Also, as I read the proclamation the other night, the National POW MIA Recognition Day ceremony, there will be one on Friday, September 19th, starting at 6 p.m. in the Courthouse Square. It'll be a short program. I mean, there's going to be a pledge, prayer, and a reading, but they are putting this on Friday, September 19th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Mr. Hamner.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to say that the other night I had the opportunity to attend a meeting of the Terrebonne Historical Society that operates Southdown Museum. And Jason, you'll be happy to know that your representative there, Noah Lerat, represented you well. And he had a lot of good points to bring out to help the museum. And I wanted to thank Noah for doing that and recognize him so that you'll know your parish manager did a good job.
Anyone else? Motion adjourned by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machine. You voted for him?
Felicia, sorry, I didn't.
And I meant to say,
So I
hey,
apologize.
No, I was just.